Alrighty, I wanted to go over this homework with you. The main things that you guys learned in this lesson was the triangle angle sum theorem that says all of the interior angles of a triangle add together to be 180 degrees. And then you should have also learned the remote interior angles theorem. There was a proof that explains why the remote interior angles will add to be equal to the exterior angle. So when we look over this on 1A, you are dealing with all of the interior angles of a triangle. You know that they must add to be 180 degrees. So when you add up all of the interior angles, you set equal to 180 degrees. When you solve, you get x equals 17. On B, this is not going to be the triangle angle theorem. This is using remote interior angles. You can see the 2x and the 3x plus 10 are far away from that exterior angle, so they are considered to be remote interior angles. So you can add them together, and that is going to equal the exterior angle. And then you solve and you get 8. The only other way you could have done this was this angle here inside of the triangle that does not have anything listed for it. That can be thought of as 180 degrees minus the 6x plus 2, because you know the two angles together make a linear pair, which is 180 degrees. That method is just a bit more challenging of saying 180 minus 6x plus 2, because you need to remember to have parentheses and distribute a negative, which a lot of people forget. So probably the better way to do this is just using the remote interior angles theorem. On problem C, you actually have 1, 2, 3 different triangles. You have the triangle on the left, the triangle on the right, and the triangle that is created by those other two together. So sometimes you can look at one of the triangles and figure out the missing piece as long as you only have one angle missing. On the left triangle, you can see you have a 70 and a 65, and you only have one angle missing. So you could do 180 minus 70 minus 65, and you end up with 45. Then you are trying to work on the right triangle. Unfortunately, there are two pieces missing here. You only have the 30-degree angle, so you wouldn't be able to do it as is. What you would first do is do a linear pair between the x and the 65. That gives you 115 degrees. And now you have a 30, a 115, and you can figure out what y is, which is 35 degrees. The only other way you could have found out what y was first is you have a 70 degree in the bottom left. You already knew that the top was 45 and the other top was 30, so together they are 75. And if you look at the big triangle as one triangle all on its own, you would have a 70, you would have a 75, and you could take that away from 180 and find out what's left over for your y, and that would be 35. And then you could solve for x. Personally, I like to use the linear pairs or sub aspect though. On this next problem, you have a 50-degree on the left triangle. You also have a 90-degree angle marker, which would leave you at 40 degrees for y. You could then go ahead and do the linear pair to find out you have 140 degrees left over for z. If you have 140 and 20 for that triangle on the right, you could figure out what's left over by doing the triangle angle sum theorem, or using the triangle angle sum theorem, which is 180 minus 140 minus 20, and that would leave you with 20 degrees left over. These triangles are obviously not to scale. Guess you could see where the x is and where the 20 is don't appear to be congruent, yet I'm saying that they are congruent. Just remember, if you ever have a triangle and you're working with the interior angles, you are able to go ahead and add up all the interior angles and set equal to 180 degrees. Now on problem number 2 here, it says the largest angle in a triangle is 10 more than 5 times the smallest angle. The medium angle is 4 times more than the smallest angle. So this involves you having to first define the smallest angle as x, and then figure out the other two. If one of them is 10 more than 5 times that smaller angle, you can say 5x plus 10. The other one is 4 times as big as the smallest angle, that would be 4x. So you have your 5x plus 10 plus x plus 4x, and when you add those together, you get 10x plus 10, and that would equal 180 because you have the triangle angle sum theorem, and you end up with x equals 17. Then it says, what are all the angles? So you would just substitute the 17 in for the x and the 5x plus 10. for the x with just an x, and then also substitute the 17 in for the x and the 4x. And you end up getting 68, 17, and 95. And then the last one here, it says determine the measure of the covered angle on the physical triangle in class. Explain the process you completed to do this, and explain why this process works. If you are doing this at home, you will not be able to complete this aspect of the assignment. Now, hopefully you guys did get tripped up by this. I am out. I'm sorry, but I forgot that this was one of the homework problems. You obviously are not able to do this problem because I did not have the triangle in class. It was basically I had a triangle and I had one of the angles covered up, and you had to measure the other two angles and figure out what 180 minus the two that you could measure were. I apologize if this tripped you up when you were trying to do this homework, because I know sometimes I get grumpy if you leave problems undone, but you wouldn't have been able to do problem number 3. All right, hopefully the rest of these problems made sense to you. Thanks a bunch for doing the homework and for watching the video.